Hi, my name is Kasia and welcome back to my channel. Excuse my robe, I just got out the shower. I wanted to have like a little chill vibe. You know, romanticize my life a little bit, you know, throw on a robe, get real cute. And excuse my hair is wet. But yeah, she got inches. Today I'm gonna give y'all my labor and delivery story time. If you guys don't know, I had my baby. I had my baby almost 4 months ago. So this is kind of long overdue, and I know I didn't document my pregnancy like how I wanted to. Yeah, pregnancy there was a lot of stuff going on while I was pregnant, and then a lot of stuff I was dealing with emotionally. So I just didn't document too much of my pregnancy in general. Yeah, my little baby girl is right here. If you follow me on Instagram at KasiaDave, I do occasionally put her on an Instagram story or two. But also, if you follow me on Instagram at KasiaDave, you already know that I had her because I posted on my page. You can't see her face, but I posted on my page not too long-ish after she was born. Yeah, so if you hear any like excess noise and like heavy breathing or like kicking, fidgeting, even a scream or two, it's my cutie mama. So right into my labor and delivery. My labor and delivery was like really quick, really smooth, really easy. I gave birth on a Thursday, so the night before on Wednesday, my husband and I, it was crazy. My husband and I, we went on a car ride because that's something we used to do all the time before, like when we first got married and then before the baby was born. So we were like, oh, we didn't know it was gonna be a car ride. We were like, oh, let's take our last car ride before she gets here, because I was 39 weeks. 39 weeks in a few days at that time. So we were like, she could literally come at any second. So we got home around like 11 something, and I ended up calling one of my best friends on the phone. Just like, cause I was calling my friends to ask an opinion about something, I don't know. But I ended up on the phone with my best friend Tamia, and we talked for a couple hours, and it got into like midnight, like 1 o'clock territory. So it was Thursday. And I remember at 1:30 in the morning, I was on the phone with Tamia, and I was like, how? Cause I got my first contraction. But the thing about it is, it felt like a light period cramp. So I was like, oh, okay, well, that kind of hurt, because beforehand I had been like logging anytime I had felt any kind of like pain or discomfort, but I never felt anything that was like, oh, I might be getting ready to go into labor soon. But once I had that like slight cramp at 1:30 that morning, oh, before that, side note, I never got that nesting thing that everyone else got when they're pregnant. I did not have that at all. So Wednesday night, something had told me, pack the hospital bag, pack y'all hospital bag. So I started packing the hospital bag, and then while I was packing it at like at 1:30, that's when I got that light cramp. So I was like, oh, okay, I might be giving birth in a couple days. Because honestly, I wanted to be overdue. I wanted to be one of those people that was like 40 weeks, 41 weeks. Like but I also wanted to have her naturally. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was mentally. I was nervous about like her being like here physically. But I was not like sick and tired of being pregnant. Like I got big. If I have any pictures of like my last few days or weeks of pregnancy, like I'll put it up. But I got big, and my feet was swelling and everything, but I was not sick of being pregnant. I eventually get the bag packed or whatever, and I end up laying down somewhere between like 3 and 4 in the morning. And because I was like, I need to like lay down and get some sleep. It was so funny because that Thursday that I gave birth was also the day of my 39-week doctor's appointment, like my checkup. I was like, I need to lay down. My husband had probably laid down like 2 hours before me, so I laid down, and then around 4 something, I got this I got a contraction and that shit hurt. And I was like, oh. And I was like trying not to wake up my husband, but trying to wake him up at the same time, because I'm like, this shit hurts. This shit is hurting. So then I don't think I got another one for about like 30 minutes to an hour later. But I know by like somewhere between 5 and 6 o'clock, probably like 5, somewhere between 5:30 and 6 o'clock, I had got another one while I was laying down. And I was like, no, I gotta get up. So I got up and I sat on my ball. And that's when I started to get them more consistently around like 6. Let me see. Because I had my messages from my doula. Okay, so I texted my doula at 6:10 that morning. I let her know that I had been having cramps on and off since like 1:30, but they were starting to hurt more. I said, I'm not bleeding or anything, and I don't think I've lost my mucus plug. This shit just hurts. So when you go into labor, they talk about like a bloody show or like your mucus plug falling out, and those are like can be indicators that of like early labor, like you're about to go into labor. But I didn't have none of that. My water didn't break either. At that point, I just started trying to track when I was getting these like cramps, because I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm definitely in labor, because I don't know what that's like. And I didn't have your stereotypical like, oh, my water broke, let's get the bag and let's go to the hospital. Like none of that happened. So I was just trying to make sure I wasn't going to run to the hospital and then get sent back. Because if you didn't know, if you go to the hospital and you in labor and you're not dilated enough, they won't even give you a room. Yeah, mama. They won't even get you a room. They'll send you home to labor for a little bit more and then tell you come back later. And then one of the things we wanted to do was like labor at home for as long as possible, because I did intend on going into this having a completely natural, like unmedicated birth. Okay, so then around 7:30, I texted my doula again. Well, she texted me and I responded, but I said, I think I might be in labor. I went to the bathroom and when I wiped, it was a little bloody. So I guess that was like my bloody show starting. Don't get me lying. I gotta grab her. Don't get me lying on what a bloody show means. I don't know the exact meaning of it as far as pregnancy goes and labor. Okay, so just so you guys know, I didn't really realize or think I was in active labor till it was like between like 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning. So that's when I really started being like, oh, okay, like these are consistent. My contractions were like 5 to 10 minutes apart. And then I saw that I texted her around 8:30 and said that the contractions are getting longer and they're starting to hurt a bit more. Since my doctor's appointment was that day, she told me to call and see if I could get an earlier appointment. But when I went ahead and called the doctor's office, they were like, because at that point my contractions were like 3 to 5 minutes apart. At this point, it was around 9 o'clock. So around 9 o'clock, my contractions are 3 to 5 minutes apart. I called the doctor's office and they were like, yeah, we usually tell people if you're contracting like that, just go to the hospital. So it was like, cool. So we were going to the hospital, and mind you, my water still never broke. My water never broke. And the contractions, they hurt, but they were tolerable. Now the midges definitely hurt, but if I sat down or even if I if I laid down, it was the worst. It hurt so bad when I laid down, or even if I was reclined back, I had to be sitting up straight or standing for them to be tolerable, because that way I can move and breathe through them. So we got to the hospital sometime between like 10:30. We got to the hospital. We were already registered at the hospital, which was like, woo. So we went up to labor and delivery, and they scan IDs, whatever, give a visitor's pass for whoever's with you, and then they take you to like a triage room where they have you pee in a cup and they check you to see how much you're dilated, whatever. Like I said, y'all, I had no cramping, no contractions, no nothing before that day. So I'm thinking like, hopefully we don't get sent back, but you know, you never know. So they had me pee in a cup, and they said I was a bit dehydrated because, like I said, I didn't eat and I had only been sipping on like a cup of ice water. So they had put me on fluids. They were gonna put the IV in my hand, but I was like, can you put it in my arm? Like the inside. Sorry, I got a baby right here. But this part right here, you know what I'm trying to say? Because I've never gotten an IV in my hand and I didn't want that to be the first time. The nurse that was in the triage room, she checked me first to see how dilated I was. Because I was low-key complaining the whole time because they had me sitting, they had me kind of reclined back because they put this monitor across your stomach to like monitor the baby's heart rate and everything. But that made my contractions worse. So they did something, I think after they put the fluids in, I had to stay where I was or stay laid back or something, but it was causing me more pain at the end of the day. But eventually that nurse went ahead and did a cervix check to see if I was dilated. Okay, just so you guys know, previously at like my 38 week, it's either my 37 or 38 week appointment, I said like, go ahead, check me, it's fine. They say cervix checks hurt, and honestly I think it hurts, depends on who does them, because when my midwife did my cervix check at one of my doctor's appointments, it was uncomfortable, of course, but it didn't hurt at all. And I wasn't dilated at all. So we're in the triage room and I'm contracting like 3 to 5 minutes apart, more like 3 minutes apart now. And she goes to check my cervix, and when I tell you, she was like, it felt like she was just jabbing, and I was low-key, I was not even low-key, I was running. I was like running away from her fingers, like this shit hurt. Like, why are you jabbing me like that? So she was like, oh, you're not dilated at all. And we were like, what? They were like, because sometimes dehydration can cause contractions and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, okay, well, nice to know. But like, I'm contracting 3 minutes apart. So we're just in the triage room chilling. And the next thing you know, my midwife just so happened to be in the hospital. So this is around 11 o'clock. 11-ish. So she checks me. She's like, oh, okay. She was like, hey, you know, blah, blah. And she went and she checked my cervix, and she was like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 centimeters. I texted my doula at 11:19 a.m. saying I'm 6 centimeters. So I basically walked into the hospital 6 centimeters dilated, and my water still had not broken. Okay, water still wasn't broke. So they were like, okay, cool, we can get you up to a room. At this point, I just continue to ask, like, am I going to be able to stand? Am I going to be able to stand? Am I going to be able to stand? Because standing helped me get through the contractions better. Like, breathing and being able to stand and kind of like sway through them made them way more tolerable. But since at the hospital, I think that is a con of giving birth at the hospital, because I did initially want to do a home birth, but giving birth at the hospital, like I said, they had me kind of reclined back a little bit with the monitor over your stomach, and that made my pain worse. So I think that was a con as far as like me giving birth at the hospital. But I understand, they're just trying to make sure the baby's good, so you know. And just so you guys know, they do have pain medicine that's not an epidural, but I didn't want to get put on it because I didn't want to be connected to the IV and not be able to like stand or move around. So next thing you know, my midwife had came in. She was talking to me. She asked like if my doula was there, if doula was coming. I was lucky enough to have the same midwife that I was seeing the couple weeks that I did have prenatal care in this area. She was the same one who delivered my daughter. So, and she was a black woman, which is like, because that was one of my main things. So I'm glad that even though I had to switch from like home to hospital, that I was able to have like a black woman deliver my baby. It was great. But yeah, she came in. At this point, my water still hadn't broken. She asked if she wanted me to break it. She wanted me to break it. No, she wanted if I wanted her to break it for me, and kind of broke down how that would go. She was asking if I wanted the epidural. A great thing about her, she wasn't pushy about it. She was just saying, yeah, the pain could get worse, so you can get the epidural. If you don't want it, then that's fine too. It's all about, you know, just making informed decision, essentially. So around 12 o'clock is when I was heavily considering just getting the epidural. I think at that point I was like 7-ish centimeters or something. And I was considering getting the epidural, honestly, to make it easier for everybody in the room. Yeah, how am I in labor? But I'm thinking about making the nurses' jobs easier. They had me reclined just so they can get the monitor and hear the baby's heartbeat and everything. And that increased my pain. And then I'm not even the type of girl that gets period cramps for real. So I asked my midwife, okay, so typically when your water breaks, do the contractions get worse? And she was like, yeah, they can. Like, yeah, typically they can. So, and I'm not the type of girl to even get period cramps. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and get the epidural. Like, I was really battling with myself about it. But I was like, girl, don't be a hero. Go ahead and get the epidural. Honestly, I am so happy about that decision. I'm glad about it. I don't regret it. So they went ahead, they sent the anesthesiologist in, and getting the epidural was not bad at all. The anesthesiologist, he was super nice, super gentle. It doesn't hurt. And I didn't look at the size of the needle because I wasn't gonna do that to myself. But it didn't hurt. It just felt funny. And like the liquid felt weird, like going in. But they gave me the epidural. They have you lay just flat so it can kind of go through you. And then next thing you know, you can't feel your legs. Oh, it was so beautiful. It was so great. I was like, I can't feel my legs in the best way. This is great. This is mwah. So by 1:30, I had my epidural. It had kicked in. Well, no, this is what my midwife said. They were like, okay, you can get the epidural. Get the epidural, we'll break your water, you can take a nap and have the baby. Like, and it quite literally went exactly like that. Minus, I didn't really nap, but thing about the epidural, if you've had a baby, you know, or if you've been or in a room when someone has had a baby, then you know. But they give you this little remote with a little button on it and a light that flashes green. Every time that light on that little clicker remote flashes green, it allows you to dose yourself with some more epidural. So one of the things my midwife had told me was like, oh, if you get an epidural, you can still kind of feel like childbirth. Just, you know, you're able to kind of dose yourself in a sense. So say you get the epidural and you don't hit it again, like you just get that one dose and that's it, you'll be able to feel labor. I got the epidural. They went ahead, broke my water. And they inserted a catheter. I didn't feel any of it. The catheter felt a little funny, almost tickled in a way. Almost, not really, but it's the best word to describe it. And then I just chilled for a couple more hours. I hit the button once for the epidural. I did hit it once, and then it was flashing again when I went to start pushing. But I was like, no, I'm about to give birth. Like, I'm not finna hit the button again. But that epidural, I didn't feel none of the contractions, none of them, nothing. And the minute I did start to feel a tiny something, that's when the light was flashing, so I hit the button. But I didn't feel a damn thing. So they're like, okay. My midwife comes in with the nurse. They're like, all right, we can start pushing. And I was like, all right, bet. Side note, I was not scared. I was not scared. I set the intention early on in my pregnancy that I was not going to be scared of giving birth. I just set the intention that I was going to have a positive birth experience. So every night before I would go to bed, I would pray over my baby. I just pray over myself and saying like, okay, we're going to have a positive, natural childbirth. We're going to be surrounded by love and support, all those kind of things from the very beginning. And I kept it consistent. There was only a few nights, and those might have been the nights where I just fell straight to sleep because I was so tired. But basically, damn near every night, I was setting those intentions for myself. So, boom, time to push. I think I had one foot in a stirrup, and then my husband held the other leg. My husband watched the whole ordeal. He watched the whole thing. I pushed for about like 40 some minutes. First of all, the way they tell you push in the movies is not how it works. Like, they had me pushing 3 times in a row, 10 seconds each. So I would take a deep breath, push 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Take another deep breath, push 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then do it again for another 10 seconds, and then they would have me wait until another contraction hit. Eventually, with the epidural, you start to feel pressure. You don't feel pain, but you do feel pressure. But my midwife, she encouraged me when I said like, oh, I feel like I have to push. She was like, oh yeah, go ahead. She was what I definitely needed out of like the birthing experience, because I felt like I was able to like make informed decisions. I wasn't being pressured to make certain decisions or do certain things. This is what I would do differently if I were to have another baby. I would hit that motherfucking epidural button before I start pushing, because when she actually started crowning, that's when I felt it. And I was like, ooh, and I was like, fuck. I was just like grunting. I was like, I can't. I mean, I was obviously still pushing while I said that, but it's like, and it was hurting. Like, it hurt. Like, the shit hurt. People always say like, oh, after your baby's in your arms, you forget all about the pain. No, the fuck you don't. You don't, because that shit hurts, okay? It hurts. It fucking hurts. Even with the epidural, like, if you don't keep up with your epidural, like dosing yourself in the light flashes, you are going to feel that shit, honey. But anyways, she finally came out. When she came out, I said, thank God, audibly. Because it just felt like a relief, because like, ugh, she's finally out. Like, I'm not pushing no more. She don't hurt. So they pulled her out, got her together. My husband was watching her like a hawk. They cleaned her up and everything in the room. And my husband was the first to hold her. My husband came up out his hoodie quick to do some skin to skin. If I have some clips of my husband in the hospital, I know I do, I'll put some up. He was, oh my gosh, he was a dream. But then it was time to like push up the afterbirth, which is like the placenta. I didn't have to really push, because typically like they just kind of worked it out. But I did have to give her a couple like light pushes, but it was nothing. It didn't hurt. But when I tell you, when that placenta comes out, oh my gosh. Oh, I was like, whoa. It is such a relief. Like, it's such a relief. You just, whew. You feel empty. In a good way though. It's like, like finally. It's just a relief. Like, you can finally like relax, because the baby coming out is a relief, but the placenta coming out is like that final little bit of relief that you didn't know that you needed. Then, as I'm like just chilling, I was like, my vagina hurts. And everybody in there was like, well, yeah. But I did tear. At first, my midwife was like, oh, it looks like 1st degree. And I was like, yes. Because I was hoping that if I was going to tear, it was just going to be 1st degree. Nope, it was 2nd degree. So as she had went to stitch, she was like, oh, okay, it does look more like 2nd degree. So she gave me one long stitch, and that was that. And I had my baby. They do make you wait a little bit in the bed till the epidural completely wears off. Obviously, they get all like the bloody stuff from underneath you and all that. But they help you get up. You can go to the bathroom. They give you like ice packs and everything. I can give y'all a whole postpartum essentials thing, because postpartum is a bitch, just so you know. So if I could prepare somebody, I definitely will. But yeah, that was basically it for as far as labor and delivery. As far as me physically goes, my body was aching head to toe. So they give you like ibuprofen around the clock. Like, my 8 hours would be up, and I would be like, can you go get them with my ibuprofen? My body hurts. But yeah, my baby was healthy. There were no complications during her birth. It was quick. If I take from 1:30 till around the time she was born, I wasn't even in labor for a full 24 hours. So, or I wasn't even aware that I was in labor for like a full 24 hours. Because imagine how long I was dilating before then to go to the hospital and be 6 centimeters dilated. But anywho, yeah, that was basically it. And now my little baby girl. I got my little baby girl. That's my cutie mama. That's my cutie mama. And yeah, that was my labor and delivery story. It was very quick, so I guess that's why I gave more details. But it was very quick. It was easy. It wasn't a whole lot of like fuss either. So yeah, we only had to stay in the hospital for about 2 days. At one point, she wasn't eating like she was supposed to. I think fluid had gotten like into her nose or mouth or something while she was being born. So I think that they said that could have been one of the reasons. Excuse me, she wasn't eating like she should, but she was eating enough in time to come home with us. There was another thing she was, and I forgot what it was called. I think it was TS positive or something. There was something where our blood types didn't match up, so they had to test her skin every 4 hours and I think every 12, because she would have been more prone to jaundice. But my baby was perfectly fine every time they tested her. She didn't get jaundice. She started eating how she was supposed to. So everything went pretty good. All in all, I had a really positive birth experience, even though it wasn't the way I had like planned it when I peed on the stick and it said pregnant. But I don't regret the way it went at all, because honey, that epidural, bring her to me. Bring her to me. I don't have to be a hero. And I think a lot of the reason why I didn't want to go to a hospital was because of like my spiritual journey and things like that. But I just come to the realization that I'm a spiritual girl that still has some trust in the medical community. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get my vaccinations, go ahead and put that medicine in my back. I don't have to be a hero. Like, that doesn't make me any less of a spiritual being, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that was it for my little labor delivery story time. If there's any questions you guys have about pregnancy, postpartum, anything like that, leave them in the comments. I will definitely get to them, respond to them, or I will just make them a video. Ooh, leave me some questions. I'll make a whole postpartum like Q&A. Anything you want to know about postpartum, the good, the bad, the ugly, the painful, whatever you want to know, go ahead and leave that in the comments below. Also, do not forget, my social medias will be in the description box as well if you want to connect with me. I thank you guys so much for watching and for being so patient with me. Pregnancy and then transitioning into motherhood has been very different for me, because it's been a real adjustment, and I've just been trying to figure out how to let go of being in my head so that I can make a life for my child the way I want to. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much. If you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you feel like it. I love you guys so much, and I will see y'all in my next video.